And now, here's our host, Akasha Shabba Khaan.
Well, you've came to the right place here, girl. This is a subject of my expertise. And I want to say, getting started in this, I'm having some hay fever problems. So, I know this is probably, my voice is probably sounding not so cool, but forgive me for that. But I wanted to answer this question for Deanie. She writes, how does a person meditate? How do you meditate and not fall asleep? How can you think of nothing? So, let's start with how does a person meditate? And, well, let's answer all the questions at once. So, she's talking in this email about, she saw a program about some people that live in a little town in Iowa, and I think the place that she's talking about is Fairfield, Iowa. And Fairfield, Iowa is the home of Maharishi University. And Maharishi was, when he was alive, he was a living guru. I mean, he was a living spiritual teacher that had, well, I know he had tens of millions of followers. He introduced to the world what's known as transcendental meditation. Now, anyway, this university that he founded in Fairfield, Iowa, it's grown to become a very prestigious place of higher learning throughout the world. It's got a great reputation. It seems that the people that are attracted to Maharishi University typically become meditators. That's one of the things that draws them there. Anyway, if you all remember, John Lennon was a student of Maharishi, and Maharishi taught John Lennon transcendental meditation, and John Lennon has been credited for really introducing the West to transcendental meditation. I know a number of people, they're dear friends, that do transcendental meditation. And as a matter of fact, I've got a friend that was living in Seattle, and as of Monday of this week, was moving to Fairfield, Iowa, because of the very thing that Jeannie's talking about in her email there about the calmness, because it's just a great place to live because everybody is like-minded, I guess. You know, they're just real peaceful. Most of them are meditators, and they're just real peaceful and loving people, and it's a great place to be with all these like-minded people. So this guy that just moved to Fairfield, I met him in 1994 in Phoenix, Arizona, and he was the first person that I met when I moved to Phoenix in 94, and he used to be a TM instructor. Now, way back then, to learn TM it was costing over $1,000, and I'm thinking that it was around $1,500, which I thought was a lot of money. So, because he and I were such good friends, I asked him one time, well, I know you do TM, can you teach me how to do it? And he goes, no, I can't, because I used to be an instructor, and one of the things that I did when I was an instructor, I took an oath that, as long as I was a teacher and I had a facility to teach in, that I would teach it. And I would charge X amount of dollars. But I don't have the facility anymore, and I just don't teach TM anymore, but I still have the oath that I will not teach it without having the facilities and extreme integrity. Would not even consider doing it. So, anyway, through our conversations, he had asked me what I achieved when I would do my meditations, and I would, in my feeble way, I would express to him the states that I would achieve during meditation. And he had told me, well, you don't need to go learn TM because you're achieving the same state, the very same state that we achieve when we're in transcendental meditation. It's a very deep state of meditation. So after he told me that, even though I was still feeling curious about TM, I didn't see the need to go take a class and spend $1,500 to learn to do what I was already doing. So I never did do it. So anyway, for Jeannie, how does a person meditate? Well, you know, I don't claim to be a teacher of meditation, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I've got a dear friend that used to teach meditation. He didn't teach TM. However, his soulmate used to teach TM, and she wouldn't even teach him because of the agreement that she had with Maharishi to not teach without having a formal place to teach. So, but anyway, he taught meditation, and he's been on my radio show a couple times. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to invite him back on the show. I mean, he'd be glad to come back on the show, and we're just going to talk about how does a person meditate. And I'm going to have him do a short little introduction about how to meditate. And one of the things I'm going to tell you right now that I learned in yoga when I was taking yoga classes is that what happens is it's difficult for people to meditate without some structure around them because they don't know where to start. They close their eyes, and the whole deal is you want to close your eyes and quiet your mind. But when you close your eyes and try to relax and quiet your mind, what happens is all these thoughts are just going through your mind all the time, and you can't shut them off. I promise you can't shut them off just sitting there trying to shut them down. So it makes it difficult for people to learn how to meditate because they try to learn on their own. They sit back and they close their eyes and they try to clear their mind of all this mind chatter that's going on, and they just can't do it. So they get really discouraged by it and just quit. So one thing, I'm going to give you a little clue. One easy way to go into a meditative state is you have to focus on something. And something easy to focus on is your breath. And I'm not talking about trying to control your breath or anything like that. Just focus on it. Let it be, and just let it be natural, but focus on your inhaling, your exhaling, and your inhale and the exhale. And what that does is that focus on that one thing stops the mind chatter, because it's impossible to have more than one thought at a time. So when you're focusing on your breathing, you stop all this mind chatter that wants to go through your head when you're just trying to relax. But while you're sitting there focusing on your breath with your eyes closed and you're focusing on your breath, in just a few minutes, what happens is you go into this deep state of relaxation. And pretty soon, in that deep state of relaxation, what happens is you go into a place that we call the gap. And the gap is that place in between thoughts. And when you first start meditating, that gap may not be very long. It might only be a few seconds, like 30 or 40 seconds. Or it might be 2 or 3 minutes. But after some practice, after you do this for a little bit, I'd say maybe 5, 6, 7 times, you'll notice that you're in the gap for longer periods of time. And what happens, what you feel in that gap, why people meditate is because when they're in the gap, they feel like you're in the presence of God. And it's just a great place to be. Who doesn't want to be in the presence of God? So that's where you want to go. You want to find that gap where there are no thoughts, where nothing's going on, and it's just you and God sitting there in communion with each other. And that, my friend, is meditation. And you don't, after you get into the gap, you don't fall asleep. You just don't. And you forget about thinking about your breathing. You've gone into this gap where you're thinking of nothing. I know it sounds crazy, but you're just thinking of nothing. And people, after they do this for a while and they train themselves to stay in the gap for longer periods of time, I mean, there are people that can go into the gap and be there in this meditative state for hours. And the reason they do that is because it's a blissful place to be. It's a state of bliss. And who doesn't want to be in bliss? So that's why people do it. And if you're ever around these people that learn how to be in the gap for periods of time, and I'm talking not really long periods of time, but if they can do it for 20 to 30 minutes at a time, and they do this a couple times a day, it's a joy to be around these people because they're joyful, they're peaceful, they're loving, and they're, I don't know what else to say. They're just really joyful and peaceful. And that peace and joy radiates from them, and you get in that energy of that peace and joy, and it's just something really wonderful to experience and be around and be in. So, or if you're really good at visualizing, you can also close your eyes, and instead of focusing on your breath, you can try to focus on something in your mind's eye, like a white light. I know you've probably heard a lot of people talk about the white light, and seeing the white light. And that's what they're talking about, is they close their eyes, and in the place where we call the third eye, it's in your forehead, right above your eyes, right in the middle between your eyes. That's what they call the third eye. And in that place, if you focus and you're able, and you have the ability to see things in your mind, you can focus there in that third eye area, and you can see a white light. And so you can focus on that and allow that white light to be your focus as you go into meditation and go into the gap. So, anyway, that's what it's all about. Just wanted to share that with everybody. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite my friend to be a guest on the show, and I'm going to have him do a little class on meditation, maybe 20-30 minute class on how to meditate. And whenever I have him on the show, what I'll do is I'll contact Jeannie, and because I know she has listened to the show before, and I'll contact her and let her know when he's going to be on the show, and she can contact all of you and share with you when he'll be on the show and how you can listen to the show. So my shows are always recorded, so if you're not able to listen to it live, that's perfectly okay. And actually, I'm going to tell you the truth, I probably won't even do a live show with him. I'll probably just record it. And these recordings stay on the internet for quite some time. So when I have him on and we do the show on meditation, I'll contact Jeannie and let her know for sure, and she can contact all you guys and let you know where you can go on the internet to watch this show or listen to this show. So that's it for now. Hey, I love you guys. Keep old Curtis in your prayers. Keep Rod and Darlene and Kim. Well, just keep all of us in your prayers. I mean, this is a tough time for all of us. So, peace.
Remember what Akasha always says. The truth is out there. Question everything and remain curious, my friends, and have the best day ever.